we are actually seeing the Dow Jones outpace the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, at least in the short term. So that's great to see. So in this episode, we're going to be covering all the important news that happened in the stock market today, what stocks we're watching for tomorrow. At the end of the video, we have a $2.5 million call option that we are eyeing for tomorrow. So Tom, what major news happened in the stock market today?
Yeah, the White House actually threatened executive action if they fail to reach a coronavirus relief deal with the Democrats, and that could be a horrible thing. But they did actually extend concessions out to Democrats, and they're going to be having a meeting on Wednesday and talking more about the deal. And they're going to go ahead and start, having negotiations on trying to get this passed here, because they're really trying to boost the economy still. Even though the market looks like it's doing very well, they're still wanting to get this passed. And obviously they're wanting to help, a lot of people who are getting hurt on unemployment right now, or people who aren't even getting any unemployment right now. So, a lot of people are going to need this, and they're trying to get it passed. But other than that, the market seemed pretty good today. Johnson & Johnson actually reached a deal with the U.S. government for 100 million doses of the coronavirus vaccine, and this is valued at more than $1 billion. And you can see their movement was pretty good, but they didn't actually, I would have expected them to pop a lot more than they have right now. So Johnson & Johnson will be on my watch list tomorrow. It looks like a strong setup to the upside as well. And I mean, they're doing well on a daily chart. It just, everything's looking good for Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, so first about that stimulus / unemployment, you could say, package. Obviously, when that gets passed, that's going to be good for the market overall and for the economy. But, the longer that the Congress is in negotiations with this package, the more it's going to hurt Americans. So obviously, the sooner we see that passed, the better it is for the stock market and the economy. So keep that in mind. But back to Johnson & Johnson, J&J is a value stock, meaning that they're a slow mover. You're not going to see crazy returns out of them like you would see with Tesla or a different, growth company like even Square or Roku or Beyond Meat or something like that. Johnson & Johnson is kind of like a slow and steady mover, very reliable, amazing track record. But Johnson & Johnson, like Tom said, I would have expected a lot more movement out of them off of this news. Like, they moved less than 1% today, but overall, we do have to keep in mind that Johnson & Johnson is a value stock and they move very slow. So with that being said, I'm still eyeing Johnson & Johnson with Tom, but it would definitely be a slow mover if we do see a breakout with Johnson & Johnson. So, like, what levels are you watching for Johnson & Johnson?
Yeah, their high in pre-market this morning was around 150.70. So I would go ahead and just watch for the high of after hours right now, actually, and you might be able to like fill a gap from 149.50 all the way up to 150.50, which would be a good move on calls if that did happen in the morning. But if it does end up going up in pre-market, I would just watch for the high of 150.70 then.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it could be like a good like medium / long-term swing trade. Just, it has good catalyst. It kind of is lagging behind the market overall. They're a solid stock, they're value stock. So I think this can definitely be potentially a good swing trade, but we have not made any moves yet. So keep that in mind. So yeah, Johnson & Johnson definitely has a solid setup. What are you thinking about Bank of America?
Yeah, Bank of America is awesome. I've been watching this play, and I actually called it out yesterday. I know a few guys played it, but it's been bouncing right off of the trend line, and it created a very nice wedge or triangle pattern here. Technically, I guess you could say it's a wedge, but it's been bouncing off of it very nicely today. You could see this morning we popped right above the high of like 25.30, which was fantastic. Ran all the way up to 25.60, and then we came back down and bounced off the trend line again. And right at the end of the day, we hit the trend line again, and now we're going up in after hours. So this is a stock that, I ended up actually buying shares on, and I actually ended up buying some calls whenever it bounced off of this trend line in the middle of the day today. It's a very nice stock. I really like the technicals on it, and this is just a solid play with technicals, guys. You can find these plays all the time. You just have to put the work in and find the technicals and plot them on the chart. And you can see how like it's just bounced off this bottom trend line about 6 times on the way up. So you could have been playing calls every single day. It looks like every morning it would fall and then hit this trend line and then come right back up. and that could have been, maybe 5 days worth of solid day trades. And that's just stuff that traders will learn once you get more into it. But it's something that all you have to do is put the work in and then just plot them on the chart, and you can get plays like this anytime. But really, Bank of America was a great play. Warren Buffett put money into it, and on the daily chart, it's looking great as well. So is the market overall with the Dow and S&P, and that's just great for Bank of America too.
Yeah, for sure. So, like you said, Warren Buffett did take a pretty large position in Bank of America recently. It's nothing crazy, but it's a decent sized position, at least for him. Overall, though, great call from yesterday's video. Do you see any more upside potential with Bank of America?
Yeah, definitely. I see a lot more upside potential. It broke right above the wedge, and it's bouncing off of it, very consistently. So what I would do is I would watch for it to break the high of today, technically, I guess, of 25.60. So it hit 25.59. So just watch for it to get 25.60 or higher, and it might do it in pre-market, or it'll get close. So just watch for that, and watch for it to follow this bottom trend line up. So, like, for example, it might be sideways, and then once the market opens, it might fall a little bit. Like normally, Bank of America, as we can see, it falls on open, and then it rises up. So what we could see is that maybe Bank of America will trade sideways and then fall slightly at open. And if it does fall slightly and bounce off the trend line, I think that's where I would actually pick up calls then and day trade this up to highs of maybe 25.60 or 25.75 if it can break the high.
For sure. So now for today's Discord member of the day. And today's member of the day is Melanie. So Melanie is always in the Discord chat posting positive messages and asking great questions. So she is definitely an amazing asset to the Discord community. Like I said, always asking great questions and always spreading a lot of positivity. So thank you so much, Melanie, for being a great member of the Stocked Up Discord community. So now for the momentum plays for tomorrow. And the first one is American Airlines. So they actually had some good news. Overall, I know Trump said that he would back a plan to help airlines. And American Airlines shot up almost 10% today, and they're running up in after hours. So Tom, what levels should we be watching for American Airlines for tomorrow?
Yeah, watch for it to pop above 1360.
Yep. So if it breaks above 1360, we will consider calls or just buying the stock. With the next play, we have TDOC.
Teledoc. This one's going to be to the downside. Watch for them to fall below 199.46.
Yep. And that's to the downside. So instead of calls, we would be eyeing puts. With the next play, we have MasterCard, and this is to the upside.
Yep, MasterCard. Watch for them to go ahead and break above. Just watch for them to break above 330.
Yep. And then last but not least, we have Triple M.
Yeah, this play has been very nice. I've been playing this one as well. This one had a great setup today. There's some awesome technicals that I'll draw really quick. This was a nice wedge formation you can see here. And this was a long-term support that we kind of had this wedge formation off of. And we're flying up in after hours. It just seems like it's not stopping in after hours right now. And this was a stat modeling play the other day. So we did actually end up profiting about 30% on this one today, which was great to see. And just go ahead and watch for them to break above 157 tomorrow.
Absolutely. And then, so yeah, that's it for the momentum plays. But now for the unusual options activity. And I actually like this one. So we're eyeing the Boeing $177.50 calls that expire this week, August 7th. But this had $2.5 million into this play. Looking at Boeing, we're looking at the $177.50 strike, which it's not too far out of the money, and Boeing is showing signs of a nice uptrend. So overall, Boeing had a great day in the market today. He had solid relative volume. So I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on the Boeing $177.50 calls. They expire this Friday. They had about $2.5 million put into them. It looks like Boeing can definitely continue upwards, but don't just jump into this play blindly. Of course, do your own research, and if you do get into a play like this, always make sure to have solid risk reward ratios. And I wish I could just say hey, risk this much to make this much, but everyone always has their own risk risk tolerance, you could say. Some people only want to risk, 15%, while some people are, they're willing to take on a larger risk. So either way, make sure you have a plan before you get into the play. But Boeing looks like it could definitely be a solid continuation upwards, especially with the big money going into these calls that expire this week.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I drew some technicals out on the chart, and it's just breaking above them very consistently as well. A couple days ago, it had the same type of setup, ended up breaking up in pre-market, and that would be awesome if it followed this trend line up in pre-market tomorrow also.
For sure. So now with the comments from the previous episode, with the first comment, we have Rob saying, why did SPCE fall on earnings? I know Tom loves that stock. Do you think it will come back to $24?
Wow, I mean, I really wish it would come back to 24, and I do in the long term think that it will come back to 24, but it really ended up falling because they're actually going to be raising new offerings. They're going to be raising $20.5 million in a new share offering, which is going to be, putting more shares on the market for them. But at the same time, they also missed analyst expectations on their earnings. You can see they were negative 30 cents a share on their earnings. They were expected to hit negative 27 cents a share. So they ended up being a little worse than expected. Plus, they're going to have a share offering with more shares on the market, which means that their overall market cap will go up, which means that their stock should go down in price a little bit until, more investors come into the market and buy up more shares.
Exactly. So pretty much they are increasing the supply, you could say, of their float or their shares outstanding, which in turn lowers the share price, especially in this scenario. So the combination of that plus missing earnings.
Yeah, didn't NKLA do this a while ago too?
I think they did actually. I mean, I know there's a couple reasons why NKLA fell. Like, I know there's a lot of fraud going on with that company, and I know there's a lot of shady things, but I believe NKLA did do that, and it was actually smart for them to do it at the time because their share price rose so much. It was actually smart for them at the time. So with the next comment we have Devin saying, I love everything you guys do. Thank you so much for the help. I started following you guys a little while ago, and it's definitely helped increase my trading decisions. Could you help me out with deciding what to do with ticker symbol GEL? I have a pretty big position in it at the moment for dividends, but it took a really big hit on earnings. So GEL.
Wow, yeah, this took a huge hit on earnings. Their earnings were terrible. Negative $2.82 a share with a lot of volume going into this today. And they did end up popping, down very significantly because they were so low in price. And I honestly, I would cut this. This is just a perfect example of one of those stocks that has a good dividend, but people just get caught up in the dividend. And, it's one of those things that whenever they have high dividends, it doesn't always mean better.
Right, exactly. So this stock looks like a dividend trap pretty much. They offer great dividends, but in turn, their share price always falls. Tom, can you do me a favor and go to a 5-year chart of this stock?
Yeah.
Let me see something. So Devin, when you're investing in a company for the long term, especially with dividends, just look at the price of this chart. This asset just decreases and decreases and decreases over time. So this is definitely something that you don't want to put your money into. Personally, if I were you, I would close out of the position, but that's just me.
Yeah, Devin, I've personally been killed on this in the past on a similar energy stock too. It was called ET, which is Energy Transfer. And you can see it's the same type of setup here. Just over the long term, they're going to be down, but they do pay a high dividend. But in the end, whenever you lose 50 to 60% on your stock, those dividends don't even matter anymore. So personally, just take my advice and cut that stock because, I've lost money doing that in the past as well. And it's just one of those things that if you don't cut it, you will end up learning a lesson on it.
For sure. And then we have Stefan saying, Mike and Tom, what's your take on buying 4 Apple stocks before the split? Buy now at around $438 or wait a little bit more, question mark. I'm asking for a long-term investment as it is one of the stocks I do not own and want to buy. Many thanks. So Apple is doing a 4-for-1 split. So pretty much for every 1 share you have, you will get 4. So if you buy 4 shares of Apple, you're actually going to get 16 shares. So in turn, the price is going to be divided by 4. Right now, Apple is sitting around $440. If it were to split right now, it would be divided by 4, and it would be sitting around 110. I love Apple for the long term. They're a great company, powerhouse stock. Obviously, they have provided, or they have proved to be an amazing investment for the past 10 years, especially. Overall, they're a great company. In my opinion, there's really no wrong time to invest in them. You might buy now and they might dip a little bit, but overall, like if you're investing for the long term, there's really no wrong time to buy. The smartest thing to do would be to what's called dollar cost average. Pretty much maybe buy 1 share now and then buy another share 2 weeks from now, and then another share 2 weeks from then, and then another share 2 weeks from then. Just buying in slowly over time. I think that would be the best way to go, because no one knows the very lowest point to get in, or the very highest point to stay away from. So I would highly recommend just getting in slowly over time. With the next comment, we have Gabriel saying, I took your advice on Disney and I wish I would have trusted you guys more because I had a good profit. Thank you for starting the channel. It is nice having people talk about things I constantly annoy my girlfriend with. So thank you for that comment, and great trade on Disney. So with that being said, Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or anything to watch out for tomorrow?
Yeah, the big stocks I'm going to be watching tomorrow are going to be 3M. That one's just looking very strong in after hours. That was one of our momentum plays today. They had a great bullish flag set up today. It was fantastic to see that. And then the other one's going to be Bank of America, like we talked about in the beginning of the video. This is just an amazing setup with great technicals. And whenever they pop above a wedge and Warren Buffett just bought a position on it, that's just all good signs for me. And I'm not saying to go in and buy calls on this right now, but at least I'm averaging in with shares for the long term on this right now, and I have calls that expire in a couple weeks.